everybody. Welcome to Fan2Fan Podcast. What we're going to do for you today is we're going to give you a quick intro of all of us, the hosts. There are three of us. I'm Doug. We've got Bernie. And today we're going to introduce you to Pete. So we're going to start with some rapid fire questions for Pete Charbonneau. So starting off, Pete, who are you?
I am Pete Charbonneau.
Where are you from, Pete?
I am originally from Smithtown, Long Island, New York, and don't you ever forget it.
All right, Pete, what makes you, you?
Oh boy, yeah. I came of age during the Star Wars explosion of the late 70s, and so I think that informs most of who I was as a child, and I think that spurred my creative bent. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I love creativity. I love being creative. I eat, sleep, sometimes breathe it, but oxygen helps as well because it keeps me alive. And so, yeah, I think I'm just I'm a product of that late 70s, 80s era of pop culture that I am shaped by it. I am molded.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
So that's me.
All right, Pete, speaking of pop culture, what is the pop culture big bang from which all of your love of pop culture expanded outward from?
As I just mentioned, it would have to be seeing Star Wars at the drive-in in 1977, summer of 1977. I think that just Big Bang is a good phrase for what happened from there, because I immediately, like many other children and adults that experienced it that summer, it just opened up a whole world of possibilities, namely the woods across the street from my house, which immediately became, and this is even before Return of the Jedi, but that became Forest Planet, where my friends and my brother and I would run rampant during the day playing Star Wars. And it all started there in my pajamas.
Okay, Pete, what type of superhero would you be?
I think I would be I would definitely be a Superman archetype of kind of good and, just truth, justice, American way type thing, like, non-corruptible, just a really superpowers aside. I think just a really nice guy, superhero person, man.
All right. What's your favorite color M&M, Pete?
Definitely green. And quick M&M aside story. My dad growing up had this workbench in the basement. It was a great place for play. I actually created the Jabba's sail barge out of popsicle sticks because I couldn't afford to buy the actual toy. But on this bench, I used to take M&Ms and I would pull the colors apart and I would diagram football plays with the M&Ms. And my dad, this was a workbench. There was sawdust, there was oil, there was a whole lot of stuff on this bench. I definitely ate the M&Ms after I was done playing it off the bench. But I'm still alive today talking to you all. So make of that what you will.
I believe that's part of what has informed your history. All right, Pete, if you were a Wonder Twin, what form would you take?
WonderTwin Powers, activate!
I think I would take the form of a cup of water because, especially in summer months, dry climate, which, I'm not sure if the Hall of Justice was, it was Metropolis. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
But I think, superheroes, it's thirsty work. And if I could provide them with some hydration during the course of the day, I think a cup of water would just do the trick. Except for Aquaman. Fuck that guy.
All right, Pete, what's one random pop culture artifact you have that might be unique to you?
I would hope that this would be unique to me. Random pop culture item that I have is a can of mousse signed by Janeane Garofalo. For those of you that have seen Wet Hot American Summer, this will be a touch point that you will remember. They had a midnight screening of Wet Hot American Summer in New York City in sometime in the 2000s, and my cousins and I went, and they would do games and things at the beginning. Sometimes some of the cast members, because I think Michael Showalter, a bunch of those guys lived in the city at the time. They were not there that night, but one of the events was pin Gene on the fridge. People in the audience got to go up and blindfolded, and I got Gene closest to the fridge. And so my prize was a signed can of mousse by Janeane Garofalo, which I still have.
All right, Pete, probably the most important question on this get to know your host questionnaire. Blaster or lightsaber?
I am definitely a blaster guy. Good blaster at your side. Nothing beats it.
If your life was turned into a comic book, Pete, a one-off comic book, how much would it be worth today? In American currency, please.
Oh, okay. All right, you threw a curveball at me. I had this all in euros.
Big bucks, no whammy, stop!
I would say I'm going to go with $29.95, and that's in near mint, not mint condition, near mint, because I feel like there'd be some wear and tear at this point. There is some wear and tear. It's not the years, it's the mileage.
All right, Pete, your Saturday morning go-to cartoon.
That's a tough one. It's Scooby-Doo or Thundar, but I have so many fond memories of Thundar the Barbarian. That was another one. Like I kind of wanted to live in that dystopian cartoon world. So I will say Thundar.
Thundar, the Barbarian.
All right, Pete, your first rated R movie that you saw in the movie theater.
The first one I saw unaccompanied by a parent was Chuck Norris's Missing in Action. But I think the first one that I saw was a very little known movie today starring Michael Caine called The Island. And this was at the drive-in in upstate New York. My cousins went. They took me. I should not have been seeing that movie, but I did see that movie, although I think I spent the majority of it in the back of the station wagon underneath a pile of blankets because I was terrified.
And finally, Pete, and I think I know the answer. Are you a hero, anti-hero, villain, sidekick, supporting character, cameo, or comic relief?
You know, I fashion myself the comic relief. I feel like I'm a fairly reserved person until you get to know me. So, but there's always been that secret side that kind of wanted to steal some scenes. So I think comic relief, scene sealer, that would be my secret wish and hope and desire.
And that's when to grow on.
Well, folks, there you go. There is your introduction to one of our hosts, Pete Charbonneau. So to find us, go on fanpodcast.com. You can check us out on all the social media Twitter spheres at Fan2Fan Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. We'll talk soon.
I love it when a plan comes together.